Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Inspired and Empowered Living TV show and podcast. We are live Thursdays at 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, and my YouTube channel. And today we are going to be talking about the steps to an authentic life and business so that you can have a thriving life and business, part 2. And you'll discover today, we're going to actually talk today. I had talked last show, we talked about the list of how you can be inauthentic, because in order for you to be authentic, you need to get how you can be or how you may be inauthentic. So we're going to talk more about that, and we're going to talk about what you can do to turn it around so that you can live as your more authentic self. And this show is not a replacement for therapy or counseling. It is for educational purposes only. And I'm your host, Nancy Deutsch, licensed clinical social worker, certified hypnotherapist, and intuitive business expert. And I help you transform your life and your business, combining my counseling, coaching, and intuitive abilities. So I'd like to welcome all of you, those that are just listening and those that have been here before. And today, let's jump right in to what does it look like? First of all, what does authentic mean? What does that really mean? And really, being authentic means being true to you, allowing yourself to feel and to know and to honor your truth, your feelings, your thoughts, your wants, your needs. And I really want you to know that those are really important. And many of you may have grown up in households where you had to give and give, or it wasn't okay to express yourself and speak your truth. And what I want you to know is that it's really important to learn how to do that. And so today, when we talk about the list of ways that you could be inauthentic, then I really want you to know that you deserve and you have the right to be authentic and to express yourself to transform your life and your business. So let's jump in to ways that you can be inauthentic. And then let's talk about what you can do to turn that around. So one of the ways, now, if any of you have ever, and I also want to make this distinction. What happens as we heal, as we grow, as we change, as we transform, we start to become more and more authentically us. And as you let go of the masks and as you let go of the have-tos and the shoulds, and we're going to be talking more about that as well, then you can come more into what it is you really want, who you really are, the true you, the real you, underneath it all. And I call that part of you your soul, your higher self, your soul. And when you're living authentically, your soul is shining through and you're bright and you're radiant. When you're not living authentically, when you're being inauthentic, that's when your light can get dimmer. If you can imagine your soul, you're like the sunshine. And when you're not being authentic, there's lots of clouds in the way, covering it up. So, and also know that it is a journey. This is a journey. This is a process. So if you find yourself doing things that are inauthentic, it's not about beating yourself up. It's not about making yourself wrong. What it is becoming aware and becoming aware. Oh, I do that. And you know what? I want to do it differently. I'm going to start doing it differently. That's what's most important. It's learning how to be aware and to do it differently, or to start to do it differently, or to start to realize that you could be doing it differently. Okay. So the first thing, if you say yes when you really want to say no, you're being inauthentic. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say the inauthentic thing, and then I'm going to talk about how to turn that around so that it becomes your authentic, what you need to do so that you are being more authentic. So if you find yourself saying yes when you really mean no, the first thing that I support you in doing is, before you say yes, take a breath and ask yourself. And now you don't know. Okay, I see the question come in, Misty. I'll get to you in a sec. You don't owe anyone an answer immediately. That you have a right to say, give me some time, or I need to meditate. I say meditate. You say, I want to think about it, or well, give me some time, I'll get back to you. And you can always get back to the person. Okay. So know that it's about taking the time, breathing, tuning in, and also learning to honor your boundaries, your limits. What's your truth? And learning to say no is part of you having self-respect. It's part of loving you. And remember, I said this is a journey. I'm going to be saying that a lot. It's not about like, oh, poof, I've got it all together. It's about catching yourself. It's about becoming aware. It's about being aware so that then you can change it. Okay, so I see we have a couple of questions, and let's get to those questions and then I'll go to the next ones. Misty asks, do you feel it has something to do with falling into patterns and not noticing? So what happens is you, all of us, okay, in order to survive in our families, in our culture, in our heritage, wherever you grew up, or in order to survive with caretakers, whoever they were, you developed survival skills. They're survival skills. And those survival skills in order to get the love or attention, you had to do things that were inauthentic to you, because most of you grew up in families or in situations where you weren't heard or seen or respected for who you are. Many of you grew up in families where children are seen but not heard, or it's not okay to speak your truth. Most children are not allowed to really express themselves. And if they do, their parents put them in their place. It's a very rare family that allows you to safely express your truth and your feelings. So most of us grew up in families like that. Me too. Okay. I love my family and I love my parents, but wasn't okay to be me. I know about being inauthentic, and I have had the journey of working on turning it around to become more authentic, and I'm still in the journey. I'm in the journey as much as you are. So we're in it together. Okay. So this is about survival. And what happens is you go into those patterns of survival in order to get the love or what your needs met the best that you could, because most of the time you probably didn't get those needs met the way you really needed it, but it was, you try to do what you could. And so that's why when we're talking about patterns and behaviors, and I'll do my quick Psych 101 for those of you who may be new. And if you've heard this before, beginner's mind, maybe you'll have a realization that you haven't had before. Your conscious mind is the part of you that is the part that becomes aware. It's the part that says, oh, I'm doing this. That's what happens with your conscious mind. It's the part that empowers you. When you become conscious and consciously aware, that's your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind is the part that is the instinctual. It's the programs, the patterns that you needed in order to survive. And you needed those patterns to survive in your families or growing up. And so learning to become aware with your conscious mind is huge. Now, those patterns are habitual. A lot of times you're doing things, your behavior, your thoughts, your emotions, 95% of the time are habitual. You just do them without even realizing. So when you start to become aware of something that you've had a pattern doing, like saying yes when you really wanted to say no, and even if you said yes and you really can't go back on the yes, next time you may be, is this really what I want? Or you may say, you know what, give me some time, I'll get back to you and I'll let you know. That's you taking care of yourself. That's you setting your boundary. That's you honoring yourself. So, any other questions around that, let me know. So, that's your subconscious patterning. Your superconscious is your soul, your higher self. That's your authentic self. That's the part of you that you want to connect more to. That shining, beautiful light that you all are. You may have a lot of clouds and fogs covering that up, but you are all these beautiful, brilliant lights. Just saying. So we will go to Nikki's question. Nikki's question is, many times people go with the gut reaction before thinking. So that's really interesting, Nikki, that you bring that up. Now, Couple of things. A lot of time, I'm all about intuition and I'm all about your gut, because a lot of times your gut is leading you towards what you need to do. However, and this is the big however, what happens with your intuition, if you have those patterns and behaviors that you've learned and that you do over and over and over again, your gut may be like, there may be two levels. The gut really knows it wants to say no, but your first thought, and this may be coming from your head and not your gut, your first thought is, oh, I got to say yes, when you really mean no. And so this is about learning to work on healing the issues, because as you clear the old trauma, the limiting beliefs, the emotions of why you're saying yes when you mean no, then you are able to come to the real truth of what your intuition and your gut is trying to tell you. And okay, so Nikki says, I meant with the first thing that comes out of your mouth rather than thinking. So the first thing that comes out of your mouth rather than thinking may be that habitual reaction. So it is a habit. It is a habit. So that's really what you're talking about. It's a habit of saying yes when you really wanted to say no. And yes, that happens. It just comes out without you giving thought to it. So what I really want all of you, and just start thinking about it, start being aware when someone asks you to do something, or for a favor, or something you're not sure, you don't have to do that automatic response. Reaction, I call it a reaction. It's not really a response, because to me, reaction is what happens immediately. The first thing that comes out of your mouth, that's the habitual reaction. You want to say, this is the response. Give me a moment, or I need some time. I'll let you know. I'll get back to you. It's okay to do that for yourself. That is being authentic. Important self-care. I call it essential self-care. So hopefully that helped, and that answers your question, Nikki. Anastasia says, since we don't always work in the conscious mind, what other mind is there? So what happens is, I'm going to tell you, most of us, most of you, all of us, are ruled by the unconscious, subconscious mind. And they've done studies and research. And I think I said this before, 95% of your reactions, behaviors, thoughts, feelings is coming from the unconscious mind. That's why you listening to the show. That's why you becoming aware. That's why you taking a moment to perhaps change your behavior starts making, that's a transformation you're making. That's a transformation that you're doing for yourself by learning to say, I'll get back to you. And so you want to learn how to come from that conscious mind and the superconscious mind. When you become more conscious and you're working on clearing and you're working on taking care of yourself, you're able to come into more of an aligned state. And it's when you're in that alignment that you're in your authentic self. Body, mind, emotion, spirit. You're in alignment, you're feeling peaceful or joyful or calm. And when you're doing that, that's your authentic self shining through. So, all these things for you to be aware of and to be on the lookout for. So, you're being inauthentic when you ignore your intuition. Now, because I'm an intuitive expert, many times people say to me, how do I even know it's my intuition? I don't know if it's my intuition. And again, this comes down to awareness. So you can't know if it's your intuition or your habitual reaction and start listening to your intuition until you start slowing down, breathing, tuning into you, tuning into your heart, into your breath, grounding yourself and asking, what is your truth? What is your intuition trying to tell you? And it's learning to be able to act on your inner wisdom. How many of you have heard the saying, the small, still voice within your inner wisdom? And so that's the voice. That's your authentic self voice. Now, it may sound very quiet at first, because if you're not used to hearing it or listening to it or tuning in, that's where you overlook the intuition, you disregard it. You're not even aware, you're not even aware you're getting an intuitive impression. I mean, I've worked with a lot of people and they're getting you're getting intuitive hits all the time. But if you're not aware you're getting them or you're not listening, you won't even know. And it's learning to be aware, learning to tune in, learning to listen. Nikki says, why do we steer ourselves wrong? So we steer ourselves wrong because we are trained that way. Like what I was saying with the unconscious, subconscious mind, is that you have patterns and behaviors that kept you safe when you were a child, that kept you to survive. You all developed resources and patterns to survive in your life. And then, now that you're becoming more aware, and again, I want to acknowledge you for listening or viewing the show. Now you're becoming more aware. You can start questioning. You can start observing. You can start listening to those patterns and behaviors that were totally out of your awareness before you become aware. And that's one of the reasons why I'm saying the list of the inauthentic, so that you become aware, oh, this is the way I'm inauthentic, and this is what I need to do to get back to being authentic. The steps you can take to become authentic. And so you're not steering yourself wrong on purpose. It's all part of your unconscious, subconscious. I'm using them interchangeably. Your patterning, your behavior that kept you in survival. But now, in order to go into thrival, it's about becoming aware and starting to change those patterns. so that you can start transforming yourself and your life. That's what it's about. So if you are making choices, I'll get to your your question in a second, Misty. If you're making choices from shoulds and have tos instead of your authentic truth, that's also being inauthentic. So if you start catching yourself, I should do that, or I have to do that, then you need to become aware and stop yourself and start saying, what is your truth? Now, sometimes it may be that you do want to do it, or it feels good to do it, but you still are living in the should. So I'm going to invite you to change your language. If you're in the shoulds or the have tos, and you notice you're in shoulds and have tos, really want to do it, use the word choice. I'm choosing to do this instead of I should or I have to. That's if you do want to do it. If you're in the shoulds or the have tos, then it's about asking yourself, what is my truth? What do I truly want? Is this something I really do want to do? And what do I need to do this? Or what do I need to do my self-care? Instead of being in the shoulds and the have tos. And when you use the word choose or choice, it empowers you. And when you learn, because again, the shoulds and the have tos, you may need to say no instead of saying yes. That goes back to the first thing that we were talking about. Because if you're feeling a should or a have to, and you're not feeling it, then it's important for you to say, no, I can't do this right now, or this is not a good time for me to do this. So it's learning to set those boundaries, learning to set the limits and the boundaries. Okay, so that's really important. Okay, so let's go to those questions. Misty asks, how can we realize those coping measures and break those patterns? So again, this is why I love to do this show, and I love that you're asking these questions, because I want you to know, those of you asking the questions, you're not only asking for yourselves, you're asking for all the other viewers and listeners that are not asking the question. So thank you to those. And of course, I always invite new people to come on to ask questions. And I'm very grateful for those of you who are asking the questions, because you're doing so not only for you, but for many, many others. So what I want you is, let's get back to the question again. I got off track because I wanted to acknowledge you. How can we realize those coping measures and break those patterns? So the first thing is, it's the awareness piece. And that's okay. Now I understand my train of thought. I was saying, because you're listening to the show, you're becoming more aware. So I acknowledge you for tuning in either live or at another time. And as you become more aware and you start noticing the patterns or the behaviors or the thoughts or the feelings or the automatic reactions that you didn't notice before, that is the first step towards change. And so again, remember, I said I was going to say this a lot through the show. It's a journey. It's not a destination, it's a journey. And once you become aware, even if it's a little awareness, if you can start noticing even if you don't change the behavior right away, starting to notice and become aware. Oh, I am saying yes when I really want to say no, or I do feel like this is a should or a have to. And is this something that feels like it really resonates with me? And again, and I also want to bring you to balance. There are times where we do need to go, like if someone is in a crisis, you may need to do something you may not want to do. But for the most part, I'm talking about the everyday things. You may need to go out of your way to help somebody or to support a loved one or a friend. But for the most part, it's really becoming aware and knowing that you do have choice, that you're not at the mercy of others. That is empowering yourself. So hopefully, and as we continue to go through these patterns and these things, you'll become more aware so that next time it happens, oh, what Nancy was talking about. I have all these clients that say, I have Nancy on my shoulder, or I hear you in my ear. So maybe you'll have a little voice inside the Nancy voice. Oh, that's what Nancy was talking about. So I invite you to start becoming more aware, and hopefully that will help you. Next one, Anastasia says, how can we stop the should and do? So again, this is a journey. It's a journey, not a destination, and it's in the awareness. So if you start noticing, even everything that you're doing, like if someone asks you a question, can you help me, or can you do me this favor, or da 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 da, it's not the automatic, like Mickey was talking about, the first thing out of your mouth. It's breathe, breathe. What's my truth? That's being authentic. What is my truth right now? And that's another important point. So your truth right now may be to say no in this moment, but tomorrow or a week from now, you may be saying, you know what? It feels good, or it feels okay to do that. It's about being authentic to yourself moment by moment. What is your truth in this moment now? And in order to know that truth, in order to tap into it, it's about slowing down. It's about taking that breath, breathing, asking yourself, what's my truth in this moment? What do I truly feel in this moment? And so hopefully that will help slowing it down, breathing, and asking yourself, what's my truth in this moment? And then allowing that answer to well up within you of what your truth is. And one of the ways that you can help yourself to be in more awareness, to help yourself gain that awareness, and to help yourself tap into your truth, the stillness, the small, still voice within, is by doing the meditation that I created. And this meditation, I call it the intuitive decision making meditation, but what it does is it helps you to clear your energy. It helps you to call in your higher self, that wise, unconditionally authentic part of you. and ask what your truth is in this moment. So let's say a way that you can use it is, let's say you have somebody asking you, can you do this for me? And instead of the automatic habitual response reaction, instead of saying yes, you say, you know what? Give me time. I'll get back to you. And you do the meditation and you find out what your truth is in this moment. Now, it may be the yes or it may be the no. So know that this can help you to get to that yes or to that no. These are important and essential life skills. So, Rebel, the link to get the meditation, and Rebel's going to put it in the chat, and then we'll get to the other questions, and I'll continue on. Is go to the name of the show, Inspired and Empowered Living.com /meditation, MEDITATION. So inspired and empowered living.com /meditation, MEDITATION, and download the meditation. And also there is a PDF if you want to read along. So this is a tool to help you get more clarity and understanding of your authentic self versus your inauthentic self. Okay, so let's go back to those questions. So Mickey asks, we may want to do a should, but have to get in the way of that, the want tos. All right, so let me repeat that. We may want to do a should, but have to get in the way of the want tos. Okay, so I think this is what you're asking, Mickey. So, and if it's not, then let me know. So you may feel like it's a should because it's a habitual reaction. You're shoulding on yourself is the habitual reaction. And then when you start tuning in, you're like, you know what? It is a want to. It is. I really do, but I'm labeling it as a should. And so when that happens, then what's the empowering choice to help you connect with your authentic self? The empowering choice is to say to yourself, I choose to do this. I am making a choice to do this. Now, an example of that is sometimes we all have to do things that we don't want to do, like pay taxes or do other kinds of obligations that we need to do, and it feels like I have to. And then what I want to empower you with is, even in those cases, it's saying to yourself, I am choosing to do this. I am choosing to do this because I want to take care of myself. I am choosing, like I have to get to sleep. I am choosing to go to bed earlier to take care of myself. That's another example. So really to watch the language that you're speaking to yourself can help you become more in alignment with your authentic self. And that's an important point, being able to be in alignment. And that is about the language you're using. So that's another way that you can come into your authentic self. And so this is really, we're going to continue this next week because I have lots more to share with you. And as always, I love answering the questions. Hopefully I got to all those questions. And I invite you to join me for more inspired and empowered living next week. So basically what we were talking about in today's show is learning to say no when you mean no, yes when you mean yes. Learning to take time, slow down, breathe, tap into your intuition and tune into your authentic truth. Breathing instead of that immediate reaction. Speaking and then later regretting it. It's learning to slow down and learning. It's really learning the boundaries, learning the self-care, learning to take time to tap in to your truth, to that wisdom that lies within you, the shining, beautiful light that you are. You all have it, and you all deserve to access it. And I hope that I am helping you to tap in, to tune in. And again, join me next Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on talk4tv.com, w4wn.com, my YouTube channel. And you can hear the podcast on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple, Amazon, and many more. And I wish you all an inspired and empowered day, evening, and week. Have a great one, everybody. Bye for now.